My teams are on the front lines each and every day for you guys. The confidence that you have in Production 277 can be found in every meeting, every conference call, every email that comes through our servers. When it comes to the companies that we feature, the companies that we work with, no longer are we bombarded with questions such as, Maddox, how much resources are you guys actually going to be allocating to help this company grow? Or questions like, where do you see this company being in the next 2 years? And for many of our investors, the questions would be, if or when will I see a return on this project? The confidence that we have, because of the track record and our company's proven success of consistently delivering success under pressure, today we have the confidence in our firm is indicated by one simple question. One question that ends every meeting, every conference call, and every email. That question to our firm is simply, Maddox, will Production 277 be backing this deal if my partners get involved or if our company gets involved? That's all we want to know. With confidence, I like to tell each and every one of you that if we are speaking regarding a particular company that my teams have done the due diligence on, and this is a project that we are looking to come on board with, the answer to you is yes. Yes, we will be backing this deal. Yes, my teams will be supporting their strategies. And yes, I will be helping these companies and guiding their growth. Last year, in fourth quarter, we closed out the holiday season by featuring a local San Diego-based cancer therapeutic company at our Winter of Hope Investor Conference. I am pleased to share with you that immediately following the Winter of Hope, we were able to see this company's shareholder value rise from 25 cents per share to 97 cents per share in just under 4 months. Right? I'm pleased to introduce to you a company that we've been supporting for the past 9 months, as well as since our last feature at the Winter of Hope. This company has grown to be twice as strong and 3 times as exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you to San Diego's own Oncosec Medical. Let's give them a hand. You can smile. In a brief moment, you guys will be able to see a short video, a short film on Oncosec Medical, learn a little bit more about the company. For those of you who are familiar with cancer, you know how devastating the fight can actually be. And what I'd like you to pay attention to when you see this film is pay attention to the hope that our firm has been able to find in Oncosec Medical, the hope in their technology, and the hope in their immunotherapy treatment. Today's treatments, as you guys are already familiar with, for example, chemotherapy, if you will, uses a high degree of toxins to go into the body and poison the tumor. The difficult part, and many of you have seen it many times, is that ultimately it also poisons the patients and it poisons our immune system, which is our body's natural defense system. But Oncosec Medical takes a different approach. They don't look to use a high dose of toxins and put it into the body hoping to kill each individual tumor. With Oncosec's immunopulse therapy, their focus is a direct approach on figuring out how are we going to empower the immune system. What we're doing is treating individual tumors, per se, let's say on the arm, we're treating individual tumors and teaching the immune system how to recognize that those tumors, those cancerous cells, are foreign to the body. They are hostile to the body. We teach the immune system to defeat those tumors that were treated, and then ultimately take that treatment and apply it to the tumors throughout the rest of the body, where we're seeing where we're seeing many of the tumors that have not received 1 ounce of treatment from their technology, we're seeing these tumors shrinking in size through data. Only the immune system can deliver that for us. It's fascinating stuff, and I'm glad that you guys are here to experience it. So without further ado, I hope that you guys enjoy the presentation. You will have a few minutes to hear from the company themselves. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Oncosec Medical. Let's give them a hand.
We saw this huge unmet need in the overall cancer areas that we needed to try to address. That was primarily because conventional therapies were very debilitating, had a high degree of toxicity, had limited response rates. And even newer therapies, even though they were next generation, still offered very limited response rates, as well as they were very expensive for patients to take on.
Only recently have drugs been developed that really focus, rather than on killing the tumor cell with poison that also poisons the patient, and looking for a slight therapeutic window between the two. Only recently have drugs been developed that really target the immune system, to teach the immune system to see the tumor and attack it. In the last couple of years, oncology has gone through a transformation, a revolution, actually. Not only are we seeing startling response rates in metastatic melanoma, the likes of which had never been seen before, unlike a chemotherapeutic agent, where you might get short-term responses and then the tumor inevitably comes back. We're seeing very long duration responses in these patients. And that's because you're teaching the immune system to kill the tumor. One of the advantages of Oncosec's technology is that by injecting directly into the tumor with IL-12, you engender an immune response that then sees that tumor everywhere in the body. So it's not just you're treating a lesion on your arm, it's that you're training the immune system to be able to scout out the tumor and find it everywhere. So that is the really critical piece, is that you generate a systemic, tumor-specific immune response.
We are very excited about moving our melanoma program forward and some of the exciting things that are happening in the immunotherapy space that we can leverage. So 2014 ends up becoming this transformative year for the company, where we advance the melanoma program and continue to expand our development pipeline and going after a whole range of different combination approaches, as well as the other targets that show our therapy or our technology, Immunopulse, has a broad application. As a CEO of an oncology company, I have a lot of work to do, and that's what keeps me up at night, is making sure that we can come up with the best solutions and continue to have the scientific breakthroughs and continue to advance our technology to make an impact for these patients and have them live healthier lives at the end of the day.
Well, thank you very much, Maddox and Production 277, for really doing an impeccable job of hosting this event. I think the way that you guys have tried to capture our story couldn't have been done better, and really look forward to meeting a lot of you guys that I can't really see right now because of this bright light in my face. But yeah, it's interesting watching this video and kind of reminding ourselves of what we're here for and what the technology is capable of. I don't want to spend too much time, but I will kind of highlight a couple key things about what's going on in the company since since earlier of this year, and since we started working with Production 277, and as well as some of the exciting things that have gone on in the first 6 months of this year at Oncosec. One of the key things that we've been able to see is that this is a watershed moment in cancer immunotherapy. Today, we have a better understanding of the immune system than we've ever had. We probably are going to see in the next 10 years that immunotherapy will likely be the treatment backbone in about 70% of cancers. And it's really neat to see the way that Oncosec is applying our technology in that space. And what's surprising is, although we know that and that exciting potential of the technology, it's interesting that today only about 3% or 5% is really being utilized in the field of cancer immunotherapy, and that's only happened in the last few years because we've had some big blockbuster drugs that have validated what's happening in immunotherapy. But if I was to highlight kind of 5 things that you can take away from Oncosec today as it stands, is we as a company have been able to move beyond what we've established with DNA IL-12, which has been our primary target up until now, and we've not only established that it works very well as a monotherapy, we've just recently, 3 weeks ago, demonstrated positive data from our phase 2 trial at ASCO, and we're happy to discuss some of that, and Rob's going to be following this, so maybe he might touch on a couple of those highlights. But not only do we see that amazing efficacy that comes with the trial, but most importantly, the safety. The safety of our target and technology is unprecedented. We've over 65 patients that have been treated with our therapy, we haven't experienced a single SAE, and that's called a severe adverse event. So that is quite a significant achievement, I feel, in what's the power of the therapy and having a therapy that's applied locally that has this global systemic response. And we have a better understanding of the mechanism of why that happens than ever, the distant kind of response that you're getting from a local treatment, but it's injected maybe on one side of the body and can have a response on the other side of the body. Number 2 is that the company is finally moving beyond just approaching this as a monotherapy and really trying to tackle and take advantage of what's happening in cancer immunotherapy, and understands that there's no single panacea for a cancer treatment. We believe that today a combination-based approach with some of the exciting checkpoint inhibitors that are being utilized and that are coming of age, and a couple have already, or one has already been approved. Another important one will be shortly, hopefully approved. It is really exciting of how our current target can work very well in being able to access a tumor and make the tumor more visible, as well as change the programming of the tumor to work very well with that different these different checkpoint inhibitors. Number 3 is that the company is moving beyond surface tumors. So tumors are probably 70% of cancers, all cancers. And we have focused primarily on skin cancers because it's an easy area for us to access. We can see a visible tumor, we can treat it with our technology and see the response. But what's really exciting is the potential of the technology to move beyond just skin cancers. The 4th is going beyond the targets that we're working on, such as IL-12, and looking at other DNA-based approaches. The power of DNA is quite amazing. We can use DNA plasmid and encode for anything that is possible. So with that understanding of how the DNA-based approach works and our our unique technology. We have a lot of different targets to go after. And the fifth important thing is we have a fabulous team and resources to undertake that huge endeavor of hitting the different milestones that are kind of outlined in the first four things I talked about. And our team's here today, so some of our team's here today, so they'll be happy to spend some time with you, and I'll turn it over to Rob in a second as well. I noticed that you've highlighted Cancer Positive, and I did want to take a moment to recognize what we're doing with Cancer Positive. And it's an interesting it's an interesting thing about kind of how OncoSec and Cancer Positive are related. This is something that we have recently supported, and it's a not-for-profit that is under our umbrella. And it's a pivotal time around cancer, because today, if you're diagnosed with cancer, you have a better chance of surviving than ever. And what's interesting is, although we're starting to see the shift from response to potentially cure with treatments like immunotherapy, what we really wanted to do with Cancer Positive is try to change that conversation around cancer and focus on the momentum that's building in the treatment realm. And with that in mind, we started this initiative. And it basically aims to support those who have been touched with the disease. And a lot of us around in this room have been touched by the disease, maybe not directly, but through our friends and family that have been affected by cancer. And what we wanted to do with Cancer Positive is really emphasize and have a spotlight on some of the inspiring stories that we hear in the field of in cancer, and listen to these uplifting stories and connect people with these progressive organizations that are in the advocacy area of cancer, and hope that the power of this positivity will help people in coping with cancer. So we encourage you to check it out, and we encourage you to share your stories if you've been touched with cancer as an individual or even as a caregiver. And you can find the website at becancerpositive.org. And I'll turn it over to Rob.
Can I take this mobile? Because I hate standing at a podium. So these series of little brief talks are kind of like an onion with layers, or an ogre, if you like Shrek. And I'm going to take it to another level. It's same message, but told a little differently. So a breakthrough in cancer celebration. I'm going to start with talking about breakthroughs in cancer that really warrant celebration. And I was talking to a bunch of people beforehand, trying to take the pulse of the group here and get a sense of to what degree it's common knowledge in this group about what's happening with immunotherapy and oncology, because it's an amazing transformation. You really could not underestimate how important what's happened in the last couple of years. So we'll take it back a couple of years, about 120 years. There was an enlightened and somewhat crazy surgeon by the name of Coley in New York who realized, he was a sarcoma surgeon, and he discovered that some of his patients who got a bacterial infection on their skin cured their tumors. And he was possessed by this idea. And that was the birth of the notion of immunotherapy. He tried giving it to patients intentionally. That often killed them, as well as the tumor. Didn't work out so well. For over 100 years, we've tried to chase this ghost of immunotherapy with very small successes. To the patients where it worked, some of them were profound. IL-2, it's a cytokine that drives T cells, was used at the NIH, made people horribly sick, but 4% of patients with melanoma survived the treatment and cured. And I do use the word cure in this setting because they're out 15 years, they're dying of other things. I mean, if we're ever going to use the C word in medicine, it's in those patients. That's the power of immunotherapy. That doesn't happen much with chemotherapy alone. It doesn't really happen. It always comes back. Chemotherapy in concert with limb amputation, other draconian measures have, of course, cured patients. What we're facing now really is, as Puneet said, we know enough about the rules of engagement of the immune system to really harness that power and teach the immune system to kill off the tumor. Now, I don't know, how many of you ever studied immunology? Anyone? Yeah, okay, so we'll ask you questions. So how does the immune system work? How did it evolve? Why do we have it? What does it do? Well, as Maddox mentioned, it's all about seeing, and I hate to be xenophobic, it's all about seeing foreignness, right? It's like, it evolved to see microorganisms that are not self and attack those and get rid of it. You know, cancer in mammals is something we get after we've had children. So big deal. Yeah, it's genetically, in terms of evolution, there's not selective pressure, right? So that we don't evolve an anti-cancer immune system. What it is anti-pathogen, antimicrobial immunity that is repurposed to kill tumor cells. Why? Because mutations, and that's what drives tumors to become tumors. Mutations are alterations in self. So you become peculiar self, and the immune system can possibly see it. So you have mutations. They can be seen if they're presented right, if the immune system can see them. But the tumor is really smart. They're really sneaky. And they evolve mechanisms to push back against the immune system. One of these, a whole set of these mechanisms, is to cloak those mutations, to not express them. Don't put it on the cell surface. The immune system can't see it as foreign, can't attack it, right? Another way, and this is the first breakthrough. I came from Merck at the end of last year and worked on what is really a breakthrough program. I mean, it is a miracle drug. We had patients, it's called anti-PD-1. And it's not just Merck that has a compound like this, but Roche has one, BMS has one, which is great because there's a lot of competition in the field, and that's a good thing. This drug is unique in that if you, say you're a lucky patient, and your tumor can be seen by your immune system as foreign, and you generate CD8 T cells. They're the cytotoxic T cells that are the foot soldiers of the immune system, and they go into the tumor to kill it, right? They see it as foreign, they're mobilized, they infiltrate the tumor, they're about to kill it, but when they see the tumor as part of their their conserved evolutionary pathways of activation, they upregulate a molecule called interferon gamma. This is a way that cells talk to other cells. They make interferon gamma, and what happens is the tumor, in response to that, upregulates something called PD-L1. And that reaches over and hits the snooze button on the CD8 T cell. It stops it in its tracks. And so we get a stalemate that I often liken to Congress, where you have this very active inability to do anything. You have the PD-1 positive CD8 T cell, and it's nestled right next to this PD-L1 positive T cell, and you have stalemate. The beauty of these new generation of drugs, like the PD-1 drug, is it comes in and it blocks that interaction between that hand on the tumor and that snooze button on the T cell. It blocks that and reawakens the CD8 T cell, right? But in melanoma, I said you were lucky if your tumor was like that. You are, because it's only about 30%, 30 to 40% of patients who have that stalled phenotype, that stalled picture, right? That leaves, even in melanoma, the majority of patients are not going to respond to that drug. And why? Because unfortunately, their immune systems don't see that tumor as foreign. So that's melanoma, and that's known to be a very immune tractable tumor. In lung cancer, it's only 20% of patients are probably going to respond to PD-1 as a monotherapy. In prostate, guys, I'm sorry to say, it's probably darn close to zero. But, you know, bladder cancer looks like it's probably 30%. Across all of these tumor types, it doesn't matter what the tumor type is. If you have this immune conversation that's stalled, PD-1 and therapies like it will probably work, but the vast majority of patients won't, because their tumors are not being seen by the immune system as foreign. And that's really where, when I was leaving Merck, I saw that unmet medical need across all those tumors. And I was really looking for a company that had a play in a drug that could actually turn on the immunogenicity, that could decloak the tumor and reveal it as foreign to the immune system. And that's really what we're seeing with IL-12. I mean, I wasn't involved in the decision before I came onto the company to put IL-12 in a plasmid intratumorally, but frankly, it was a brilliant decision. And like that Dr. Coley, who was a bit mad and enlightened at the same time, the origin of this company was some pretty enlightened but kind of crazy people decided to put IL-12 directly into a patient's melanoma, and lo and behold, even in these phase 1 studies, they saw responses and even some complete responses. And that's because in those patients it was removing that invisibility cloak and allowing the tumor to allowing the immune system to see that tumor as foreign. So that was sort of the catalytic moment that gave birth to OncoSec. OncoSec evolved backwards. I mean, most biotechs have a molecule, one person who, I love this molecule and it's going to work, and they build a company around it and then it fails. But OncoSec was completely opposite. It was a molecule that worked in people in phase 1 and catalyzed the formation of a company to develop that asset. And now we're trying to, we've learned how that works. We've learned a lot about the immune system. We're building a pipeline in support of that will hopefully augment IL-12. And we're building, we're moving forward with our development path because it's so clear that the combination of something like intratumoral IL-12 that drives the immunogenicity of the tumor pairs incredibly well with these potent effector T-cell checkpoints like PD-1. So it's from here, it's pedal to the metal and drive that to completion. So if you have any questions, that's, I think, all my time. I could go on for hours.
Do I have to hold this? I love doctors. They are a wealth of information, even during dinner time. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for attending, and I want you to know that we have a great event planned for you guys. That is the end of our presentation. But number one, dinner is ready for you guys. I just got word. We also have live music that's presented by a very good friend of mine, renowned jazz musician, David Patron. Maybe a lot of you guys are familiar with him. We've also have, in the middle of the floor, in the reception floor over there, you'll see an activity that many of our guests love to get involved with at all of our events. This activity is a unique one that we have specifically for cancer positive. It is the Message in a Bottle activity, where we want to encourage you to look inside your hearts, and someone in your life right now could use the words of kindness. And that's what I want to encourage you guys. So also we have $1 million views that are going to be available for you guys as soon as the event opens up. So I encourage you guys to take some memorable, some fantastic photos of yourself and your friends and colleagues, or for, in many of your other cases, take some fantastic selfies. Okay? Also, I want to let you guys know that the photographers here are in a position where if you take a great photo, they will upload them instantly onto the website. So you're more than welcome to go and pull those professional photos off of the web and use them, on your social media, anything like that. Okay. I do want to request that as we open up the reception, number one, you guys go grab a drink and get dinner. But number two, I ask that if you guys can move into the activity space, to the dinner room, even out to the patio, as I'm going to have the hotel staff come in here. We're going to eliminate some of these chairs so it's more of a reception space for you guys to see the exhibits, to get to know the staff, and also to see the company that's being featured today. So I hope you guys had a great time. Okay? So once again, welcome.